The Phantom Picture, a complete tale by an anonymous author. My name is Dodge and I'm the keeper of the Honey Hill Jail. It's an easy place, I must admit. The salary is small, but there's very little to do. We don't have many prisoners. One or two idle loafers about the village get turned in occasionally, and once every year or so we have a burglar. I have my garden and the children play in it, and sometimes I forget the whole place doesn't belong to me. For 2 or 3 stupid old men making shoes, and a shabby woman or two binding them, isn't much of a prison. Why, I've gone off all day and left the keys with my wife, for the prisoners would never have thought of escaping if the door had been open. They were too comfortable. Well, that's the way it was, anyhow, when he came. Who was he? Well, he said his name was Smith, but I suppose that he really had another. He came to the town and wandered about day after day, behaving in the strangest way. And at last he went to the magistrate and asked to be locked up in the prison. Why? Says the magistrate. What have you done? No matter what, says he, but I deserve it. Of course, he could not be committed for that. But he had his way at last. He walked into a shop and put his hand in the money drawer. So I got him. He came in one morning, a gentleman, every inch of him, but as thin as you could fancy a man, and every now and then looking over his shoulder. Shut the door, quick, shut the door, he said when he came in. Don't let him in. Why, is there anyone else outside? Asked I. No, said the officer, he's all fancy. He's been talking that way ever since I took him in charge. Crazy, I guess, he whispered. I thought it might be so, then. But after that, Mr. Smith didn't say anything that could ever make me think so. He had a way of looking over his shoulder, as I said, and a way of groaning. But he paid for extras without a question, and he got me to buy him lots of things, paints of all colours, an artist's easel, and chalk and brushes and pencils, to pass the time away painting, he said. Why, sir, then maybe you've been an artist in your time, said I. Well, something of one, said he. But it will pass the time. It will pass the time. So there he sat, and painted in his cell the portrait of a man. I kept a curtain over it, as it scared the women and children so. It scared me at first, but I got used to it. A deadly white face, and staring eyes, and with the finger pointing right at you. Oh, I tell you, I've stood behind his chair and watched him work and work and work at it. And first he painted the eyes, and they seemed to follow you all round the room, and then painted one feature after the other. 3 months he worked at it. He was in for 3 months. And then there, it was all finished. But while he painted, he kept looking over his shoulder all the time. Well, at the end of the 3 months he fell sick. We sent for the prison doctor, and he said consumption. And so, as he was dying and paid his way well, and was no expense at all, why, we let him stay. The wife waited on him. I helped nurse him, and the doctor came regular. He said he was a very well-educated man, and that he'd lived amongst tip-top people. And there he lay, dying by slow degrees, so slow you could see no difference day by day, but there was a deal in the long run. Weaker and weaker he grew, till at last he gave up sitting in the chair and took to his bed. And then there came a night when the doctor and I sat with him, knowing the day would never dawn for him, when all of a sudden he spoke out, sharp and quick, and said he, "Which of you will do a favour for a poor, sinful, dying man?" Well, we both answered at once, and he looked up grateful and happy, and said he, "I want you to see that nothing happens to my picture. That picture I've painted here. I'll tell you all about it. There's no need of having a secret now. I shall have no secret soon. I shall leave my body behind me before daylight, and a soul cannot hide from God's eye. My punishment is before me, or my pardon. God knows how I was tortured, how I suffered, how my brain reeled. Man can never know. I couldn't tell you," he said, holding out his thin, pale hands to us. "I couldn't tell you all the agony that I endured," and he hid his face in the pillow. "It was a woman who drove me to it," he said, after a while. "Oh, how I loved her. She was beautiful. She tempted me on, and jilted me at last, and for an empty-headed fop. A man who had been insolent to me, who laughed at me now that he had won the prize I coveted. The night before his wedding day, I hid myself in the path near her house, through which he must pass when he parted from her. It was thickly set with trees, and the shadows were deep. I was so near the house that I saw her come to the door with her lover, and saw him kiss her lips and press her to his heart. Oh, that maddened me. I had only meant to fight with him, but I always carried a pistol, and it came into my mind that I could put a bullet through his heart as he passed me by, and keep his wedding day from him forever. I took the pistol from my belt, cocked it, and waited. He came gaily down the path, whistling a merry tune. For one instant I saw him gay, light of foot, bright of eye. And the next he lay dead, a dead thing at my feet. I dragged his body amongst the bushes and looked at it as it grew cold and stiffened. Then I got a spade, and in the silence of midnight dug a grave. I laid him in it, and heaped the sod above his head. And now, I thought, there was no more of him. I turned away, but before I had gone many steps, I heard something at my shoulder. I turned and saw him following me. I knew he lay dead in the grave I had made, yet there he was, pointing at me, mocking me yet, with such a ghastly white face and such horrible dead eyes. From that moment he never left me. I came to Europe and he was behind me on ship, rode with me in carriages, sat behind me in rail cars, came between me and my very servants, so that I started and stared, and they learned to think me mad. I went to tropical lands, to frozen regions, up mountains, down into mines. And there he was, whenever I glanced over my shoulder. At last, it struck me one day that if I could get into prison, I might have him barred out. I did it, but he followed me. I was in despair, but here a new thought seized me. I would paint him. It came to me like a flash that it would be the way to have him at last before me, not always at my back. I began. You saw me, Keeper Dodge. I painted his eyes first. Then he was less awful, for when I looked over my shoulder, he did not stare at me so. Slowly, I got all his features upon the canvas. Last of all, his long, white, horrible hand, pointing at me. There he was. There he was. There, you see him. But the ruse was admirable. He never followed me again. And now I have another plan. Here he dropped back in the bed and gasped, but in a moment sat up, grasping both our wrists. I have a plan, he faintly articulated. I think you will help me. You've promised. Swear? Swear? Yes, it's all right, said the doctor. We'll do what we can. Why then, cried the poor mad soul, why then, I'll leave him behind me, shut up in that picture, shut up in prison. He cannot follow me all through eternity then, as he would if he were free. He shall not accuse me. Never destroy the picture, Keeper Dodge. You must hang it in this cell and keep it safe. You will, I know. There's money that I leave behind that will pay you for your trouble. Promise? Yes, said I. I'll keep your picture safe. Then I can lie down and die, said he. I can try to pray. And he closed his eyes. He lay quite still for hours. We thought he was gone, but all of a sudden he started up. There, he screamed. He's coming out of the picture. He's going with me. Stop him. Stop him. He's going up with me. And he fell back, dead. We buried him next day. But now comes the queerest part of my story. I shut that picture up in the cell. I didn't care to look at it at all. It made me feel as if I was looking at a ghost. And it was a year before I opened that cell door again. When I did, the picture was gone. I don't mean the canvas. That was all safe. But the picture was all gone out of it. Vanished somehow. The doctor talked about paints of the wrong kind and the effect of damp and I don't know what else. But I, for my part, can never get it out of my mind that that horrible thing with the staring eyes and the dead white face and pointing finger has followed his murderer into the other world.